Hey guys, Phoenix from Tarot. Just to say at the start of this, I am re-recording this introduction. Doing this reading has been very problematic with the energies. It entailed a lot of stopping and starting. When I started doing this reading, I'm doing this reading alone, where I was doing the reading, but there were a lot of sensations that kept on coming through, lots of noises in the flat where I am, and I'm the only one here that the camera happened to pick up. So a lot of lights and issues with my lights and all of that was happening in this. Then when I recorded it, clips that I had weren't coming up. I kept on stopping and starting. It's been a mess. So what I'm doing is re-recording this introduction, and I'll have timestamps down below. What I'll also do as well is that generally I would tidy the audio, to make it crisper and, post-produce the recording, and I wouldn't do it this time, just for you guys to hear and see what you pick up. Now, normally I would, whenever I do my readings, I set the intention, I do the protection prayer and so on. But with these spirits that were coming through, there is nothing to worry about in terms of the spirits and so on that were coming in. One of them, you could hear them quite distinctly in terms of the bang and so on in this recording. But what came through is that the reason why they kept on pausing the video and restarting, and the fact that I needed to re-record this, it was explained to me after that my focus in this, what I was focusing on in this reading, was wrong. So they said, yes, it is about the names, and it is about the victim. It is about the names. It is about who was involved, who was not, and so on. But what they said that they wanted me to do was have more emphasis on the victims who were passed on. So there's a lot about victims who are alive, but there's a substantial number of victims who were passed on. And I didn't really immediately realize that. And those were the people and the entities that were coming through while I was doing this reading. So that's why I'm re-recording this, to ensure that we shine a light on the victims that have passed on. When I tapped into the victims that had been passed on, I just was overcome. And even as I'm saying this now, a lot of them are here. I was overcome by a wave of sadness and tears. And there is a stillness now as I'm going into this, and I'm shining a light on the victims who were passed on. There's a stillness. It's like, and I'm channeling this right now, it's like, yes, you are giving me a voice. Yes, please give me a voice. Yes, let people know that we are here. Yes, we really do want to be heard. It's not only children who have been passed on, or it's not only young ones who have been passed on, but also they want me to say this, it's people who tried to do the right thing for all these years, people who were not believed, they're saying, people who have had their souls fragmented because they were forced to participate in activities against their will, perhaps forced to participate in activities just to survive. There are also these people that they're referring to it now as the death of the soul. I'm really sensing them quite powerfully, like across my left shoulder. And there's a denseness in the energy. And it's just like they're quiet and they're just like, they're happy for me to go on with this. So I will go on. Another thing that came through is that they're saying that be aware of people whose names are in the files, and when people are holding them to account, be aware of what they're actually saying. For a lot of people, you're not even hearing a sincere apology. They're saying to pay attention to that. Another message that has also come through is that this is a spiritual rot. And we all know this, but they're talking about the spiritual rot that doesn't just occur to the very top echelons of society. It doesn't just occur in entertainment and in Hollywood and so on. They said it permeates from, let's say, entertainment down to grassroots theatre, all the way down to your 9-to-5 office jobs where you may be bullied by a colleague, where you may be the victim or see the perpetration of covert activities. So covert sexism, covert ageism, covert racism. So what they're saying is that these activities take many different shapes and forms. And of course, they'd be very different shapes and forms of severity. Some of them are breaking the law, others aren't. But what they're saying is that the root and the source is all the same. And what they're saying is that there is something they're showing me now about a chain, like a chain being as strong as its weakest link, something along those lines. And people coming, okay, there's only so much I could say in this, particularly as it's YouTube. They're just showing me a lot of stuff, but okay. Now, another key message, and this is from my spirit guides now, not from them, is that this is the age of the awakening, and for those who wish, this is an ascension. So a lot of people are awakening. There's also a lot of people who are ascending at this point as well, and there's a potency in the energy. There's a potency in the air. As the light expands, though, what they're saying, as the light expands, so does the darkness. And in this case, the darkness is shifting, the darkness is morphing, the darkness is changing. Reason being because there is a new world that is on the horizon. And what this new world is going to bring, it's going to bring new ways to harness the power of the collective against their free will and against their awareness. And we're going to come on to that later. Now, why is this happening? Why is this morphing and changing of this darkness that we're seeing? Why is it morphing and changing? They're saying the reason why this is occurring is because the collective is awakening and faster than anticipated. And the collective is becoming consciously aware of what's happening. So when we see things like the Nickelodeon case, when we see things, particularly social media is bringing this about. So when we see things like the Nickelodeon case, when we see things such as Epstein and so on, what they're saying is that from the aspects of the darkness, it's time for the darkness to upgrade. It's time for them to shift dead weight or to let go of dead weight. So that is why we're seeing, like, Epstein is that dead weight, and all that he represents is that dead weight. And what's happening is that dark side of things, they're undergoing an upgrade. Now, what they also said as well is we are moving into an age of the power of the collective, and the power of the collective is based on realizing our own individual value, our own individual worth, but we are not at the point where we realize that yet. So how do we harness this power of the collective, and how do you harness the light? How could we ensure that the light triumphs the dark, etc., etc.? So one of the messages is being vigilant. And by being vigilant, dropping into your heart space, letting go of judgment, embracing compassion for yourself, embracing compassion for someone else, embracing understanding, stepping into your intuition. And on this channel, we talk about it a lot. We talk about your intuition a lot. Your intuition is your inner voice. It's your inner wisdom. It's your inner compass. And when you're able to connect with your intuition, you don't need to seek external validation. Connecting with your intuition, connecting with your divine voice, connecting with your inner you, connecting with your higher self, connecting to God. This is how you ascend. This is how you awaken. This is how you become unmovable. And all the chaos, the confusion, the uncertainty. When you're able to connect in this way, it brings expansion, it brings elevation of your consciousness. It brings about the connection with your God team, the connection with your spirit guide team. And that also brings about your ability to slot in to your unique role, to your unique purpose, particularly in the new earth. And what they're saying to me with the victims that I'm representing and I'm giving a voice to now, they're saying, by you doing this, this is how you remember the fallen. This is how you remember the victims. This is how you ensure that their pain and their sacrifice and their loss of innocence hasn't been in vain. So if there's anything to take away, it's that. So we're going to proceed with the rest of the reading. And as I said, this is going to be in 3 parts. So part 1, we've just more or less covered, which is, the spiritual message and giving voice to the victims and so on. So we've covered that. Part 2 of this, which we're coming on to now, I finally found it's been a mess with finding recordings, not finding recordings, thinking something doesn't work when it works. But they all did it to bring my attention to the victims that have passed on. That's what they wanted me to do. In fact, yeah, and then part 3 is, so part 2, sorry, I'm jumping. I'm so sorry. I'm just getting messages and images and so on. Part 2 is going to be the actual reading I wanted to do. And we're going to go into Jay-Z and Beyonce. We're going to go into the Clintons. We're going to go into Epstein, whether he's still alive or not. We're going to be looking at Justin Bieber's energy. And then in part 3, we're going to be looking at the royal family and the UK government. I haven't recorded part 3 yet, though. As I was saying this, there is something about them, if they haven't done so already, they are going to start finding mass graves. I'm seeing like a plot of land, like acres and acres of land, and their graves, like their grave sites. Not so much on that, where this temple is, like Little St. James, not on the island. There seems to be another place, they're telling me now, where a lot of bodies are buried. That's what they're saying to me now. They're talking about mass graves, so it's quite a few. It would be interesting to see whether they report that on the news. Another thing that they wanted me to say is that Epstein, in a way, catered to you and your proclivities and who you are and who you were. Like they're giving me the phrase, the devil who wears many faces. And many people weren't aware that they were interacting with. But we'll come into Epstein and who he is and so on in a bit. Another thing that they wanted me to say is shouting out the people who were not mentioned in the files. So when they talk about being vigilant, it's not just being vigilant about what you see and what you hear, but what isn't mentioned, who isn't there, what you don't hear, right? They said that's very important. So again, the Keanu Reeves, the Matt Damons, the Ben Afflecks, the George Clooney's, the Ryan Goslings. When you look at people with that sort of temperament who are not in the files, what are those sort of people like? What is their character? All right, they just wanted me to put that out there. Okay, so anything else that I need to say before going into... No, just that, I think that's it from me. Just a few messages from my guides. I'm not sure whether this is covered in my recording or not. As I said, everything is just a mess. There's a lot of spirit energy in there, so everything's a mess. Now, some of the messages that I'm going to give you, I'm going to deliver them now. And you may say to yourself, yeah, right, this can't be true. Phoenix Spring Tarot has just lost the plot when I deliver these messages from my guides regarding this situation. But trust me, by the end of this year, and the end of this year, over the next 2 years minimum, a lot of these messages are going to make sense to you. And for a lot of people, they will actually make sense right now. Okay, so here are some of the messages that were not covered in my recordings, but the victims have given to me. Okay, so they're drawing me to the image of Epstein's head and the shape of his head. And what they're saying is that he is a hybrid, which means he is part human, he is part entity. So I was asking him, what do you mean by part entity? Is this like an alien? Is this a spirit? And they said from our perspective, and they're saying our perspective when it comes to this is quite limited. But what they are saying, it's another life form. It's not, we call them aliens, but they're saying it's another life form. That's how they phrased it. They're talking about these beings, these lower vibration beings that have been living amongst men, living amongst humans. And they've been energy harvesting for centuries. So when we think of fantasy films like vampires, werewolves, and that sort of thing, it's something similar to that. But when I say something similar, I'm not saying that Epstein, for instance, is a vampire, he's a werewolf. It's not that. But when you think of fantasy films and when you think of entities and life forms, you wouldn't consider a werewolf or a vampire an alien. That's what they're trying to explain to me. And what's really interesting is that as I say that, I think it's Roseanne. Remember Roseanne Barr of the comedy show Roseanne? She was sitting with Tucker Carlson. And I'll see where I could insert that clip where she was talking about people eating children. So it's really interesting but the reason why I reference that clip is because Roseanne Barr talked about vampires there as well. But they're saying like Epstein, and there are many types like Epstein, a lot like him. But they're not an alien per se. But you get it, okay? I feel like I'm over-explaining it. Also, another thing that was raised is that to Epstein, people like him, they're applying a blanket statement, calling them the P word. P word associated with children and that sort of thing. That's what they're saying. That's what they're calling Epstein. However, it is much, much more than this. There are different ways in which children and older children and so on are exploited. And there are different ways in which energy is being harvested. And this is what we'll discuss in part 2 of this, because I channeled it and they gave it to me. And one of the ways, actually I'll say this now, is what Roseanne had touched on, which is the consumption of, but there's so many different ways beyond that. This brings us on to point 3. This is from the victims and what I channel from them. It's been reported that 3 million plus files are made available by the DOJ. They are saying this is not the complete collection. They're saying that the complete collection is more along the lines of 9 to 12 million. So we only have a third of the files that have been released. They've also said that a number of the files, the more really incriminating stuff, was destroyed. It was destroyed at the hands of Epstein and his team, and it was also destroyed by some people in government. So some of these we just wouldn't get at all. And they're saying that these are what really have the details as to the different entities and how the different entities survive and how they, who they let in to their layers. So when we talk about behind the veil and we talk about the upper echelons of society and we talk about this, that, and the other, there are levels to this stuff. Levels, levels, levels. They're telling me now, and this is a final message, how we view the world, our ability to create and manifest. The phrase is alchemy. Like there is advanced technology, there's advanced tools, and there is something around alchemy and the ability to make money and the ability to create money, the ability to just always be rich. These people just have it. They know how to do it, basically. It's like an out of the world metaphysical thing. They're showing me something about iron and vibration, but like these people can create money. Sorry, that's just what they're giving me. Fourthly, it's also the power of the divine feminine. And when we're talking about that, the power of the divine feminine, the power of youth, the power of innocence, the potency of this. They're telling me again and again and again, youth, innocence, the divine feminine, there is a potency to that energy, particularly when you harvest it against someone's will, or you purposely take someone's freedom of choice away to keep them controlled. This has been done on a large scale across the world to us as a collective. This is energy farming on a large scale. And in part 2, we will go more into that. Okay, so part 2, that's coming in now. That's going to be the start of the reading I actually wanted to do. I needed to give a voice to these victims. And in part 2 of this reading, you're going to hear all the noises from the victims wanting to be heard, but I wasn't paying attention. And again, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you guys. Hi guys, Phoenix from Tarot. So the Epstein files have been released. There's been a lot of talk about who's in the files, which millionaires, which names have been redacted, which haven't. So far, at the point of doing this reading on the 9th of February at 3:30 p.m. GMT, we know of names such as Bill Gates, Deepak Chopra, Jay-Z, Pusha T, Peter Mandelson, Andrew Mountbatten, for those over in the UK, and there have been about 3 million files, apparently. Emails, photos, video clips and so on that have been released. So a number of content creators have been pulling the names, cross-referencing across what's been redacted, what's not been redacted, what certain emails or messages say regarding certain notable people and the consequences and what it implies, what it means. I'm not going to look at that. Instead, in this reading, what we're going to do is take a step back and look at this from a macro spiritual level. What it means in terms of us as a collective, what it means about our level and the expansion of our conscious awareness, and what are the implications for us? Why are we seeing this now? Okay, so that's what we're going to cover in this reading. And in the tarot aspect of it, what I am going to do is go into the likes of the Justin Biebers, the Jay-Z's, Beyonce, the Deepak Chopra, and we're going to go into them individually. We're going to keep it speedy, we're going to keep it punchy, we're going to look at questions people have around it and what the tarot is saying. Okay, so we'll do that. And I also want to say before going into this that in some places this would be raw, so this is coming with a trigger warning. So if you feel that this subject matter may trigger you in any way, please take responsibility for your mental health, your emotional health and well-being. Perhaps switch off at this point or look at another video on this channel. All messages in this reading and all channel messages are alleged until proven fact. We look to deliver messages from the highest divine light of the highest intention for the elevation and expansion of the collective awareness. I'm not doing this for some sort of entertainment or to embellish or anything along that nature. This is really, really serious. Okay, so let's go into the messages from my guides. One of the key first messages, and I have a list of the messages from my guides that I pre-channeled written down, but they're coming in for me to deliver this message at the very start. And what I'm seeing here is wild. But here we go. They're showing me a face of Epstein and they're showing me his bone structure, like they're particularly his face. And they're saying that there's something about his bone structure. There's something about what lies underneath that's not... They're talking about, they're giving me the phrase humanoid, they're giving me the phrase hybrid. They're like, there is something, I'm sorry guys, like, whew. Oh boy. Okay, I have to deliver what they're saying to me. But they are saying that in terms of, they're moving me on from that message. This, because of my reaction to it. But they're also saying that Epstein's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, if you think this is wild, you ain't seen nothing yet. They're literally giving me, like, I have a subscriber called Buttercup, Buckle Up Buttercup, I think it's the name of this YouTube subscriber's handle, and they're bringing that phrase to me. They're saying buckle up Buttercup for this year because they're going to be more reveals. This is just the tip of the iceberg. They're sort of showing me like a matrix of chords, you know, like that conspiracy theory. Oh, what's that? Sorry guys, I'm the only one here and I'm just hearing a lot of noise in my flat. Just one moment, I'll be right back. Sorry guys, I'm back. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but it's the sort of, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are even people above Epstein. Epstein is pretty high up, but they're saying that there are even people above him. They are bringing in the role of women and the role of the divine feminine. And they're talking to me now about, okay, so they just wanted me to give that message. I could go back to what I have listed in terms of the channel messages from them. The power of the next message from my spirit guides, message number 2, the power of the divine feminine, the power of youth and innocence. So what they're saying is that there is a potency in taking this energy of taking someone's youth, of taking someone's innocence, particularly with the divine feminine. There is a potency and an energy in taking this against someone's will, purposely taking away the freedom of choice and keeping someone controlled. What they're saying is that to us, this is being done to the collective at large, and this is energy farming on a large scale. So even with the Epstein files being released and so on, and with our reactions to this, and with a lot of people's reaction, it's a lot of disgust, there's a lot of helplessness, it's, you know, and justifiably so, a lot of strong emotions that are happening. All of this is energy farming. All of this heightened emotion is, I'm hearing the phrase, what they want to, I don't know how, but that's how they manage to control the masses at large. It's a game to them, is another phrase that I'm being told as well. Another message that they're giving me, I'm going to come back to the divine feminine and how that harvesting works because they've given me a breakdown. But before I do, another message that's slipping in here is that it's not a matter of viewing everyone in power or viewing everyone in authority as being bad. It doesn't work that way. What they're showing me is that in the mix of these bad actors and in the midst of the worst and most, in the highest depravity, there are people who are in the midst of it, who have been trying, sprinkled in between, to do good where they can, to balance things off. So they're giving me an example. So this may be like a security guard allowing someone to slip away, for instance, or someone giving somebody a bottle of water, or if somebody was meant to have pills, sort of giving them the heads up, look, this is what they're going to do to you. So they're saying that there are good actors who have been sprinkled in between all of this sort of stuff. Another message that they're giving me, before going back to the divine feminine and innocence harvesting and how it works, another message that they've been given is that a lot of what people deem as conspiracy theorists and so on, they're giving me that 95 to 98% of it is true. They're particularly giving me the scene of, do you remember that young woman? I think she was in Mexico City and she was a model. It's all over the internet. And she ran out into the streets screaming that they're eating people, and that sort of, I will find the clip, and if I could insert it here, I'll insert it.
This video has been going viral all over the internet, and this is what we know about it. On August 3rd, 2009, in Mexico, the news broadcast features a young model named Gabriela Rico Jimenez. She claimed that she was invited to an Illuminati party while screaming in front of a luxury hotel. She repeatedly pleads for her freedom, and she claims that she was held against her will. From the captions, you can see that she made some wild accusations at very big names. Viewers of this video made wild claims of MK Ultra, although none of these conspiracies have been proven to be true. Gabriela went missing after what appears to be her arrest in this video, and she still has never been found.
Because it's been around the internet, and this was taken years ago, and people thought she was crazy. People thought they were off their heads. My spirit guides are showing me an image of the woman now. They're saying that did definitely happen. These things do happen. Okay. So even for myself, they're even telling me to say this, like I've been on this for about 5 years, and people call me conspiracy theorist, which I never appreciated because what I was seeing has been so true. People have called me conspiracy theorist. I've even worked with a lot of spiritual practitioners who have even pushed back against what I've been predicting for years. And they're literally telling me that everything that I've predicted has basically come through. And that's what they're telling me now, that we will even go through systematically in this reading. Now, I've got all of that out. So what they were talking about is how is innocence, how is the power of the divine feminine, the power that's in the essence of youth and innocence, how is that formed? Or how is that taken and used? So what they are saying is that there is a particular group of people that are influential in running the world, that have even infiltrated the 300 and so on, that they don't derive their energy from the highest light or God. They don't harvest their energy there. They don't harvest their energies directly from God. They harvest their energies from people who harvest their energy, who have a direct alignment and connection to God. So when you look at those who have the most potent alignment to God, that's innocence and that's youth. So they're showing me this energy harvesting occurs on a spectrum. When you have a spectrum, you would assume that something, we don't use the term spectrum, they're saying, to mean something is worse than something else. They're using the term spectrum to mean a difference. Okay, and this is where it's going to get very dark. So for people with the P word, when we're looking at very young children, the energy that's being harvested there is innocence. It's the energy of innocence. The energy of innocence, it's the highest potency because it's the closest to God, it's the closest to creation, it's the closest to the kingdom of heaven, so to speak, is what they're telling me. And these are being harvested by entities that have turned their backs on good, they have turned their backs on light, they have turned their backs on God. They no longer, that connection to good, light, and God has been severed. Completely severed, like they don't have, or they believe they don't have any way to make their way back to God. So instead, to get that life force energy, they take it from other entities, and the closer you are to God, they will take it from you. So these ceremonies tend to happen these ceremonies they tend to happen in the dark, yes, but they're more public than we realize. In fact, they get off and they get a kick out of it being done in public, and we don't realize, is what I'm being shown. And they've given me the instance of Baal, is like they're very dark. They give me instance of Baal. They're also showing me the film Eyes Wide Shut. they're also giving me like that Balenciaga, you know, that Balenciaga campaign where everything is out, and Balenciaga, they're giving this to me now. This is not written down, they're giving it to me now. Balenciaga is a very, very good example. It's also a good example of the light, and people of the light, the people of being truth, the people who are close to divinity, calling things out, calling out that Balenciaga campaign. They're also giving me in my mind's eye now when you think of Macron, when he had an image of him, and in the background of that image was an author who was interested in the P word, particularly children. Like, these are the ways that they taunt us and have it to us in plain sight of us. Like, there's an energy that's also being harvested of our ignorance. Okay, that's something else that I'm being told. There are people, they're showing me in my mind's eye, almost, oh my God, I don't know if I can say this. Oh. They're giving me the images of the people who have been involved in these types of ceremonies and this type of stuff, but I'm not going to say, sorry guys, I can't say this, but they're giving me the images of the people who have been involved in this. Now, the next set of energy harvesting, and okay, and in that, in children, it doesn't really matter whether it's boy or girl or anything like that, because the feminine and masculine is more fluid and it's more in balance at that young age. So whichever you get, it doesn't matter. Again, I'm just delivering the message of how it works. The next step on is those who are young, but they're a bit older. So this is harvesting a different type of energy. There is an innocence there for those who indulge in this, but the energy harvesting is more of controlling this innocence, manipulating this innocence, and watching the innocence drain. So it's gradually draining the innocence through your control and looking at the light to disappear from someone's eyes. So for instance, when we talk about the energy drain from your eyes, like when you think of Britney, and people always talk about Britney's eyes, that's someone who's been drained, so to speak. So that's what it's like, your energy on tap and you are drained. Now, what they're also telling me is that little children are oblivious to this energy drain, but older children are aware. And when we're talking about older, we're talking about, they're showing me the age range of, let's say, 8 to 12, that's one group, but we're also looking at 12, 13, 14, up to the age of, let's say, 15, 16. So that's where control comes in, and you have older men wanting to be with women or with boys, grooming that particular age. So that's energy harvesting, but it's a different type of energy harvesting. It doesn't look as carnal. It doesn't look as carnal as the children, but it's still energy harvesting, and it's a different type of energy harvesting. It's more about control. I can't explain that. They're just giving me control again and again and again, and that ability to have control, that ability to manipulate, that ability to give someone light behind their eyes and take it away at the same time. It gives them energy. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Whew. Another element of this as well, this is particularly talking about the divine feminine and talking about young, but the older young. So let's say from 12 onwards to 15, 16, perhaps 17. There is energy harvesting. So when we're thinking of the Aaliyahs, the Beyoncés, the Foxy Browns, when we talk about David and that girl that he was with, that's, those sort of women that we're talking about, like the concept of the child bride and so on. In a way, right in front of our eyes. Like, all of this was right in front of our eyes for so long. But again, society, before we were asleep, we weren't really attuned or awakened to this, right? So what they were showing me is that with a lot of this, oh gosh, sorry, it's gone. Sorry, guys. No, there's nothing more to say. They've said that I've said enough on that. Okay, so the third message and the final message here that third guides have given me, it's the role of the woman and the role of divine feminine in holding up this energy harvesting or participating in this energy harvesting. So this doesn't happen in isolation. All these billionaires are not rounding up these children and women and trafficking them. A lot of these billionaires are not doing it themselves. There is a network of people who do it. And believe it or not, to the forefront of these networks, or they're showing me the middle and upper management, if you like, of these networks are women. That's what they're saying. Believe it or not, they're women. And they particularly want me to bring this point across. They're saying this point is being overlooked, and it's a very important point to make. They're saying that there's an element of self-derision and emotional, mental slavery that has been passed down from past life to past life, from generation to generation. It's like a past life subjugation of the role of the divine feminine being of service to the lower vibration of the male patriarchy. So, for instance, to give me an example, if you grow up and let's say you were very young, you got sexually assaulted, you believe that it's your fault, you believe that you were asking for it, you believe all those things, you make yourself small to elevate the lower vibration of the divine masculine that's done that to you. And you pass this down from generation to generation. So this is where a lot of victim blaming from other women particularly comes in. What they're also saying to me as well is that, and they're getting very deep and esoteric here, from past life, what has also been handed down, you know, in that controlling family of the 300, there are certain people who, they're saying, oh gosh, they're giving me so many messages. There are certain people who through lifetimes and lifetimes and generations of women who are there to do this P-word stuff. They are there and they're alive, particularly for that purpose, to do the P-word stuff, to service people who are interested in that. It's like they're born and initiated and told that it's their purpose. They're born into positions of power and told that it's your purpose. It's the way we do things. Like that is their purpose and their role. Like this is a whole... You know how you have vampires and werewolves and you know all these films about vampires and werewolves and how they operate in secret, and how there'd be a hierarchy in the fantasy world of vampires and werewolves and different families and houses, and everyone has a role and that sort of thing. It's as if there's women born into roles of servicing. I'm not seeing the people they're servicing that engage in P-word stuff at the highest level that Epstein's dealing with, although it's across all levels of society, so top down this occurs. But I'm seeing some of them not even being human and being hybrid with something else. Guys, and what they're saying is that this is going to be revealed. They're saying that that woman who left, that model who left that party screaming about their eating people, like that is as deep as it's going to go. If you think of the very worst conspiracy theory, that is how deep this can go. Okay, so Spirit Guides, God and Angels of the highest divine light, of the highest truth, of the highest energy, vibration, frequency, please protect myself, please protect and bless those viewing this reading. May we only channel messages of the highest divine light, of the highest truth. And as we channel these messages, please form a bubble of protection around us. May these messages, may the light always shine through, the light always shines through and pierces the darkness. May we deliver these messages for the elevation and the expansion of the collective consciousness, of the collective awareness, contributing to the collective awakening and the highest vibration frequency of the divine, of God, of Jesus, of all that is in the remembrance of our divinity. Thank you. Okay. Death, what time are we on? 18. Death, Magician, King of Cups, Ace of Pentacles. Okay. Sorry guys, let me fix my camera. There we go. All right. Oh, okay, let's see who is up. Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Harvey Weinstein. Okay, so I have a list of people that are going through. So we have Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Harvey Weinstein. We're going to be looking at Bill and Melinda Gates. We're going to be looking at Bill and Hillary Clinton. We're going to be looking at Justin Bieber. And if as I'm doing this, other people come up, like I'm seeing P. Diddy and I'm seeing Ashton Kutcher and that woman who, that actress who passed away, we've done a reading on her as well. So I'll see who else comes up. Okay. Death and the Magician. I'm being told with the Death and the Magician, I'll do this before I go into Jay-Z and Beyonce. You know that it took a while. One thing I've often wondered is why, number one of the campaign pledges that Trump made was that he was going to reveal all the Epstein files. He was going to reveal all the JFK files. He was going to reveal the JFK Association, the Martin Luther King assassination. He's going to release everything. Like, to me, this was his campaign. He campaigned on this. I don't really hear people talking about that anymore. But he heavily campaigned. Kash Patel, they all heavily campaigned that they were going to release everything. They went on and on and on and on about that. So if you know that you were going to release everything and you campaigned so heavily on it, then you got into power, and then you say there's nothing to see here, why campaign so heavily about it? But what I find really strange about it is that no one is speaking about how heavily they campaigned about it. And I'm even wondering, is this a Mandela effect thing? Isn't just me, but to me, Trump heavily, Kash Patel, everyone heavily campaigned on releasing these files and having complete transparency. So why did we not do it? And why, when people said, well, you promised us you would do this, so do it, then you gaslight everyone and you say, well, there's nothing to see here. And then so when Marjorie Taylor Greene says that, you know, she steps out of line with this, there's a phrase that I need to say, but I'm not saying the whole phrase, I'm channeling. But when she's stepping out of line with Trump, that's the best way I could find to describe it. Trump calls her a traitor, he calls her this, that, and the other, and then they release the files anyway. So why all this chicken and dance? I feel that we're being played with, we're being toyed with, and I want to know why. And this is just giving me the answer to why. Yep, so when they released, it was literally just a dump, right? It came as a surprise to everyone, the DOJ, yes, everything's online, 3 million files are online, go for it. What I am seeing here is that they wanted to do it on their own terms. I feel that they did not know. They wanted to do it on their own. I'm being told that they did not understand the extent of all the files and what was had and that sort of thing, but I don't feel that's fully true. I'll give it, but I don't feel that's fully true. But I feel that there was a lot of warning that was happening in the background with this temperance energy. It's like they needed to buy time for people to actually go through the files, for people to warn their friends, for people to put things in order, for people to develop their stories. I'm being told, you know that they're saying 3 million files have been released? I'm being told with this death and with this magician, it's not 3 million files that have been released. They're not just 3 million files. They're much more than that. I'm being told that there's up to between 9 to 12 million. So even with what we're seeing, we don't even have the full picture. We don't have the full picture. Dare I say as well that many times when you feel people have been exposed, they haven't necessarily been exposed. It takes time to shift your operations elsewhere. It takes time for you to, shift your operations elsewhere. For you to change the locks, to change email addresses, to change your code words, to put the word out as to who's going to be safe, who's not going to be safe, who could be the sacrificial lambs, who could take it on the chin. So for instance, with Bill Gates, everyone's just like, oh my God, Bill Gates has been in these files about 1 million times. And Bill Gates is just like, okay, so what are you going to do? Because really, what are you going to do about Bill Gates? He just comes out, he gives a weak excuse. Melinda, to be fair, Gates gives a weak excuse as well. Oh, I hope everyone gets justice. She very well knows that everyone's not going to get justice. What are you going to do? Stop using Microsoft Word and Outlook? So it's a matter of what are you as Joe Public going to do? What are you as a collective going to do? Because you don't believe with the death card in your collective power just yet. And this is where I think they underestimate the collective. They still feel that they have that control over the collective, but with the death card and the death energy, there's a new world order coming through. So even if Epstein and so on fell away, it doesn't matter. We have a new world order coming through. Epstein was sloppy anyway. So we're just going to upgrade and get even better at what we do. Sorry, that's just channeling the message. It may not be what people want to hear, but that's what I'm channeling. So it's sort of biding people time is what I'm saying at the end of it all, to get their ducks in a row, to decide who's going to be the sacrificial lamb and who's going to be out there, Who do we care about? Who do we not care about as such? Because I'm getting the magician. Magician is smokes and mirrors, particularly when it comes to the collective. Yep. This is what I mean. Who's your friend? Who's your friend? Who you're going to save? Who you're going to save with the magician card? Who you're going to protect? Who are you not going to protect? And a lot of these files are all there to confuse people as well. Yeah, this is the Six of Pentacles, biding time. Biding time to cover things up. Okay. So what's been presented, particularly with the Emperor and it being so slow, yeah, what's being presented is not the be-all and end-all for all of this. Okay, so that was just something, sorry guys, that's a detour, but I always just got really confused as to, and let me know, am I going crazy? Is this a Mandela effect that's happening? Because I do, to me, from my memory, Trump strongly campaigned on releasing these files. To me, he did. That's what I remember. Okay, so let's go into Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Harvey Weinstein. So we've been talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce on this channel since, I believe, the 24th, when I looked at my readings. We've been talking about them since the 24th of November, 2022. We've been talking about them. And what I said is that Beyonce's power, people think Jay-Z is the one with the power, and I was just like, nope, their power is different, but to me, Beyonce is the one with the power. Now, and I'll put all the readings up here as to the different readings I've done. There's been a lot of talk. They're bringing in the phrase MK Ultra. And I talked about Beyonce and MK Ultra quite down in 2022, where nobody was talking about this. Nobody was, but I talked about it in 2022. Now, a lot of it, there's been a lot of talk at the end of 2025, beginning of 2026 on this. Beyonce, I've also said, she is a very, 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 very powerful high priestess. And this is where their power differs. Jay-Z's power is a bit shrouded, is a bit clouded to me. If people are looking at the connections between Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein and that sort of thing, that's you're not quite barking up the right tree. There is nothing, my guides are saying, there's nothing really to see there. It does not mean that Jay-Z allegedly hasn't been involved in stuff. He's just not that tightly involved with Epstein and his stuff. If Jay-Z, they're showing this to me in my mind's eye, if Jay-Z is relating to Epstein, and if they're like younger, like children and babies is not Jay-Z's thing. That's what they're telling me. It's on the other spectrum that we talked about before, earlier in the introduction, right? So, and really Epstein's world, even though he had younger ladies in that 12 to 16, like Virginia Giuffre in that age group, Epstein more had them for other people and to rope other people in to then get information and blackmail and to have over people's heads, which we'll come to in a moment. But Epstein's main, if he was looking at a vessel to do that energy harvesting, it's really the babies and the children. Sorry. That's not a Jay-Z's bag, is what they're saying to me. So in terms of closeness and connection and that sort of thing, people could say, oh yeah, Jay-Z's name was mentioned 1,000 times. But it's like, let's dig a bit deeper. 1,000 times for what? So in a way, this flute, oh my gosh, what's this woman's name? I keep on forgetting her name. Flute player, pop star. We did a reading on her as well. Lizzo. So when Lizzo came out and she said, not because someone's name is there, it doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of Epstein, in a way Lizzo is right. She is saying the truth. If, however, we had all the emails, all of this, that, and the other, and we were, let's say we replace Epstein with Diddy, then I would say, okay, we have something here. But notice we don't have any of the emails or videos or anything where Diddy is concerned. And what they're giving me now is that Jay-Z had a hand to play in that. Okay, so let's see what we can pick up that. At least I don't even think, I just channeled that message. I don't know whether we need anything else in the cards for that. But Beyonce is a very, 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 very powerful high priestess. She's a very, very, very powerful high priestess. Yeah, Jay-Z and Epstein, that's not... If Jay-Z was around, it would have been, he would be on the periphery. That's Beyonce. He would have been on the periphery. It would have been strictly business. Yeah. Hermit card is talking about distance. And that's what I'm just saying. This is Beyonce here. This is Jay-Z here. Emperor and Empress. A lot of people were talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce getting divorced and that sort of thing. I'm not seeing that in the cards here. I'm not seeing that here. I am seeing them being positioned with the star energy in the new world order. I'm seeing them making their way into the new world order. And what I'm also picking up with this hermit energy as well, one of the things I said in many of the readings I did on Jay-Z, where everyone is playing checkers, Jay-Z is playing chess. Jay-Z is always a few steps ahead. So a lot of people could have their rumors, they could have their innuendo, they could have all of this about Jay-Z, but that's just what it is. It's rumors. It doesn't mean that there isn't any truth to the rumors, but what I'm seeing from this energy here is that Jay-Z is very, 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 very smart at being a few steps ahead. Jay-Z doesn't sleep. Their energy, they're always a few steps ahead. Also, they work in a very controlled way. Jay-Z, I'm reading from this energy of the Emperor. Emperor is talking about controlled and being very controlled. He has that seat at the table that Diddy would love to have, but has never quite gotten to. In fact, remember when they had those Black Excellence brunches and whatever, and even with Diddy, Jay-Z being there, Jay-Z didn't even really belong there because he was really higher than all those people who were even at those parties, is what I'm picking up on here. And the reason why that would always stay is because Jay-Z has never really been sloppy. Yes, he's had the thing with the children here and this sort of thing, but considering in the grand scheme of things, consider two other people, he's never been sloppy, and Beyonce, who's the Empress here, is this ace in the hole. But with the Star card, I am seeing them being around. Let me just pull something, because this Star card has, I think the intention is for them to have key roles in the New World Order. That is coming through. But this Star card is also telling me, I'm also picking up on something. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a new world order, but it's people being paid off in the background. I'm picking up on here. I'm also picking up that Jay-Z and Beyonce need to watch their monies as well. There's something about their monies also. So a lot of things are going to remain as innuendo. They're going to remain as gossip. They're going to remain as fodder. The internet is going to be interneting. But that's what I'm saying with the Seven of Pentacles. They're not particularly going to get anywhere. It's like these are minor arcana, these are major arcana. They would always be gossip, they would always be innuendo, but I'm not seeing it as really impacting their wealth or their ability to generate generational wealth. But there is a money pinch, there are money issues coming in here. Beyonce's coming out with a new tour, isn't she, as well? This new tour that she's coming out with is going to be the real decider. A lot of people very, very high up, you know, that 300 family and so on, they are looking at how that tour is going to go. Because that would be the decider on whether, okay, what do we do? Do we cut Jay-Z and Beyonce loose? Do we do that? Do we not? Do we? But there is something with Beyonce. Her energy is her high priestess energy is very potent, and it's very, very, very strong. I have a story about that. Like, I remember speaking to her energy guides and yeah, her spirit team. They're very strong. Okay, so that is Jay-Z. I have a note here. Remember Jay-Z's old friend, an NFL player, who said he went to a dinner party with children. I think he went to this, Jay-Z, his friend, hang on. Remember Jay-Z's old friend, an NFL player, who said he went to a dinner party. Jay-Z and Beyonce were present at this dinner party, and there were children at this dinner party. I need to find that video, but I remember seeing that video as well. This was a long time ago, before the Epstein stuff came out. If I can find it, I'll insert it here, or I'll put that video link down below. Okay, so Bill and Melinda Gates. So they divorced a while back. When the initial Epstein claims initially came out, that's where Melinda Gates divorced him. Now, since then, it's been alleged that Bill Gates had contracted an STD, and he wanted to slip Melinda antibiotics. Melinda, both of them actually have been questioned since. And Melinda, as we mentioned earlier, has talked about justice for women. Now, it could be that she's shocked, it could be that she's embarrassed, but I found her response quite a bit strange. So my question to this was, how involved was Bill Gates? How much did Melinda know? Those are going to be my questions. Tower, Knight of Cups, the Devil, Three of Pentacles, give me a clarifier. What? Give me a clarifier for this Devil. Ace of Wands in this instance is the phallic symbol, okay? So when we get an Ace of Wands like this next to the Devil, when we're talking about knee deep, waist deep, ankle deep, like Bill Gates was all up in this. When we're talking about contracting STDs as well, there could be some truth to contracting something here with the Devil next to the Wands. Particularly with a Knight of Cups coming towards someone, like offering, giving, passing something on to someone, right? Because that's the topic we're talking about here. There is also something about this Tower moment. That's Tower moment is talking about shock. Tower moment here, I'm hearing the word disgust as well. It's people being shocked for different reasons, though, is what I'm picking up with this Tower. Let me put this High Priestess. Let me put this Empress here. Can you clarify the Tower? I am surprised. That's the one. I am surprised with this justice coming up to the Tower. And when I say shock, I mean shock for different reasons. I am surprised that Bill Gates was really put in front as a sacrificial lamb to sort of take the hit. This is what that justice means. They have the ability to comb through those documents. Again, they were saying that there's 3 million. I keep on hearing it's really 9 to 12 million. So we're not even looking at half the documents, basically. Someone decided, and again, there's curtain a lot of things happening behind the scenes, that said that we need to give them someone powerful in terms of these documents. And it was a shock that Bill and Melinda Gates were put up for it. The shock is shock for different reasons. From both their reasons is, number one, them being put forward and their names being dragged through. That's number one. The second shock is that I'm picking up with... Yeah, and the reason why, I'm just being told I need to explain this point because some of you may not be following. This Three of Pentacles, the reason why I'm talking about people agreeing to be put forward and so on is that I'm watching this Tower energy, which is something coming as a shock, something coming out of the blue. I'm talking about the justice. So someone getting justice, someone being put forward and needing to face the music, needing to being held account for what they've done. That's the justice. But I'm also seeing, and this is next to the Devil here, so being held to account for their actions, for their devious ways, etc., etc. But this is coming up next to the Three of Pentacles. So it's someone saying, you are going to take this hit. You are going to, and this is how you're going to take it. On the other hand, what I'm also picking up here with the Devil next to the Three of Pentacles is damage control. There is some form of damage control that's going to be done with the mass media. We're going to go out, we're going to do a few interviews, we're going to answer a few softball questions. We've come out, we've addressed it, that's the end of that. And we will use our influence that we currently have. Yeah, that's the end of that. We would keep on moving. And we would use our influence that we currently have in the media to sort of suppress it and bury it, and because everyone has short attention spans nowadays anyway. The irony of needing to slip your partner STDs and then being in control of society having COVID shots, it's like wild. This is just wild. Okay, allegedly. All right, so how much did Melinda Gates know? Because I found in that interview her response quite interesting as well. It was very constrained, her response. So how much did she know? I'm being told as I shuffle that there is a lot of emphasis being placed on Epstein. Epstein's a creep, Epstein's this, Epstein's that. But at the Bill and Melinda Gates level, they know and they are very much aware that Epstein is, at that level, he is a small pawn in a bigger, he's a senior pawn. Like, they're showing me like levels to this nonsense, right? They're showing me levels. And let's say, yes, Epstein is high in those levels, but he's just one small aspect. He's just the tip of the iceberg. And it's as if, yeah, they're still protecting each other in a way. Bill and Melinda, like, she's devastated, for sure. Devastated, embarrassed. They've had arguments behind the scenes regarding this, distraught, all the things. But on some level, she still has a loyalty with this Two of Cups to her ex-husband. Still a loyalty to her ex-husband. Like, there is something about the way that's why I found her interview strange. I found the words that she was using strange. Oh, I've been able to move on, but these poor young women and young girls, and there was just something of an emotional distance that she had in her interview. And they're saying that's her being in step with her ex-husband. That's her being in step and reading from the script and what they've agreed to say. But behind the scenes, I am picking up that she is devastated by all of this. She is devastated. It causes her anxiety, shame. Like, this is someone, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Anything else that, they wanted me, Seven of Swords. There is still an element of deceit here. But there is some understanding and awareness, and she knows the type of proclivity and the type of person her husband is. There is, yeah. I remember doing a reading on Bill Gates a while ago, and this was before Epstein or any of this sort of stuff. There is a particular type, yeah, there we go. Like, she knows what he was into. She knows. She knows. That's why she walked away when it weighed heavy on her when the first Epstein news hit. And Bill Gates wasn't directly implicated then yet, but she always knew it always weighed on her soul. It always weighed on her spirit. She had a lot to lose by walking away, but she walked away. But don't be under any illusions that she didn't know what her husband was involved in. But I think she knew, but it weighed heavy on her. The extent of the depravity. Did she know the extent of the depravity? Did she know the extent of the depravity? Yes. I'm picking up that she did. This is very complicated. Melinda Gates is allegedly, her energies are very, there's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of wrestling with morality and right and wrong. And there's a lot of, I don't want to say feigning ignorance. And the reason why I don't want to say it, because I'm feeling from a woman, the struggle is real. And I'm seeing with this Empress energy, someone of a good heart. It's very complex. Melinda Gates energy, very complex. I may do a soul profile reading on her alone. Okay, so let's go into Bill and Hillary Clinton. Okay, so both of them, I've never done a reading on Bill and Hillary Clinton actually. So Spirit Guides, Guardian Angels, please add let's add additional layer of protection around myself. Bringing in divine light, bringing in divine cleansing and protection light from the creator of all that is for myself as we go into Bill and Hillary Clinton, and for those viewing this reading, providing us with an extra layer of protection, maybe only channel messages that we need to know right now in the context of this reading. Thank you. The reason why I was just seeing a lot of, guys, you can't make this up. Tower again. Here we go. This is the energy I was picking up on. Guys, you're watching me shuffle on camera. I can't make this stuff up. Devil again. So we got the devil with Bill and Hillary Clinton. We've got the devil with Bill and Melinda Gates. We have the devil with Bill and Hillary Clinton. There is something, they're giving me this image now when it comes to the elections and the Six of Swords, and it's like being out on still water, drifting into fog after the elections. Hillary Clinton, okay, all messages are alleged until proven fact. Hillary Clinton lost that election because too much was revealed about her. And this is not about Benghazi or any of that stuff. This is about, I feel, you know her assistant, what's her name? Huma and Anthony Weiner. Remember the assistant Huma and Anthony Weiner, and remember when she poured water over her hard drives, and remember when Anthony Weiner was there sending inappropriate images to underage girls? Yeah. This is what they're showing me, because with this Six of Swords, it's someone leaving somewhere or leaving something. It's like Bill, Hillary, Chelsea Clinton, allegedly, right? Going into the fog, like moving on from somewhere and something. And they just gave me the image of the elections, which was a shock with this tower, because tower, for those not familiar, tower represents shock. It's like that shock of losing the elections. Somehow they're taking me back to that. And we have the devil energy. It's like certain things that should have been hidden with this Nine of Wands came to light. Like someone was sloppy and it came to light. And they were just like, no, we're not going to put you in power. You're too radioactive is sort of the phrase that they're looking at, that I was looking for. In fact, people's awareness of Pizzagate came out around the time of the Clintons, when Hillary Clinton was running for office, sorry. Yeah, there we go. We have the Two of Swords, Two of Pentacles. People played it down as if it was nonsense with this Two of Pentacles. Oh, you're a clown. What pizza? Like that. I'm being told it was a concerted effort to keep us blindfolded, for us not to see. For us, like the swords are across the solar plexus chakra. The solar plexus chakra is talking about connecting with and identifying truth. So notice the same fog and the same fog we have here, but there was that light. People began to be like, pizza? What? And then we had the Anthony Weiner. Oh my God, Weiner, pizza, hot dogs. I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. But then we had the Anthony Weiner stuff come out at the same time, and this is that light illuminating. I think it's that Huma. Oh God, what is this woman's name? I have Huma. Hang on. I'll put an image of her on my thumbnail. Huma Abedin? Yeah. They were married in 2010. Oh, they were married by Bill Clinton. He officiated at their wedding. Man, my spirit guides do not disappoint. We are getting juicy. Nine of Swords again. We have, there we go. We have the two nines. We have the Nine of Swords. We have the Nine of Wands. Nines, as we came out of the year of the 9, we're coming into the year of the 10. 9 of the snake. The 9 is just being on the brink, just being on the precipice of doing something. This is the thing with those elections. They're bringing me back to those elections and Hillary Clinton. If Hillary Clinton won those elections, this would be a completely different world. We would be living in a completely different parallel reality. I'm being told that a lot of us wouldn't have experienced the awakening that, although I wouldn't say that, I think we would have experienced the awakening and the expansion of consciousness that we do have now. It would have just taken a different route. It would have taken a different path. It may have even taken a bit longer for us to get there. We may have been ignorant, but just a bit longer. But there's Two of Pentacles. More shrouded in uncertainty, but we would have eventually gotten there. Okay, so what was Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton's? When I'm asking this question of their involvement, I'm seeing them wearing ceremonial robes and participating in ceremonies. Yeah, there we go. Like ceremonial robes, ceremonies. When you participate in ceremonies, there are lots of routines, or actions. Like it's a ceremony. There are lots of things that you do. You drink this, you cut this, you step here, you say this, and you wear robes. Like that's what I'm seeing with both of them. I'm picking up that Hillary knows her husband and she knows everything her husband does. She's very much aware of it. I'm not picking up someone who particularly cares that much. They do love their daughter, though. That's one thing. But I'm not picking up someone who particularly cares that much. We have the Devil and the Death card that's come up here. Interestingly enough, what's the Death card mean? Oh, there is a lot that the Clintons are very, very high up in this. Very, very, extremely high up. Dare I say, with the Death card, with the Nine of Swords, in a way they know where the bones are buried. It's as, you know, when that whole Monica Lewinsky, it's not Monica Lewinsky, there is something else, there is some other scandal that Bill Clinton was involved in. Where someone very senior, he rubbed them the wrong way, is what I'm being intuitively told here with the Nine of Swords and the Death card. But there's something about Bill Clinton know where the bones are buried, where the bodies are buried. That's just a phrase that is coming up for me. Is he in the best health, though? That's something else that's coming through as well, whether he is even in the best health. Again, I'm picking up the extent of his depravity. We're not going to see the full extent of it with this sun. We're not going to see it. We're only seeing, again, the sun is coming up next to the 9. We're only seeing some of it. And there's something with his health as well. Let me just see Bill Clinton's health. There is something as if it's something in the bones and in the blood and in the lymph. Hang on, let's see. Bill Clinton's health. Hang on, guys. This is going to bug me. I just want to... He's discharged from hospital, but this is 2024. What was he discharged with? Former discharged from hospital after being treated with flu. No, this is not flu. So in 2004, he had a quadruple bypass, signs of extensive heart disease, clogged artery. Ah, yes, that's what I was saying, blood and lymph. But I'm seeing it in the bones as well. But this is not 2004 quadruple bypass surgery. Is he having complications because of that? This is an old article. I'm not seeing anything of late regarding his health. He had a stent procedure in 2010. I don't know, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I'm seeing something with his health. In late 2025, he appeared with a defibrillator, a portable defibrillator. Okay. If anyone knows, mention it down below. But there's something I'm seeing with bones, with lymph, with blood. Like, I don't know, that's just what I'm picking up on. Yep, so here's another one with the sun, deciding to shine a sun on this situation. So shining light, bringing our attention to all of this. But again, it's like whatever people are bringing attention to, it's like these people were carefully selected. It's like, even if, like, they would shine a light on Bill Clinton, but it's like half the stuff in the files is missing. So you could shine light on some relating to him. You could shine light on him. We could have him in a photo being, like Epstein had this image of him wearing a dress. Like it's, but I'm seeing a lot of ceremonial stuff. Like there is so much stuff that is not going to be in emails. That's not going to be in a file. I do not want to go into the energy of the ceremonies. I hope it's okay, but it's, I just, yeah, I don't want to go into that. Okay. Justin Bieber. Again, Justin Bieber is another one. We've been speaking about him for a while now, well, since the 15th of November 2020. In fact, Justin Bieber was my very first accurate prediction, in which I did a reading on him with that Carl Lentz and the church. And the prediction I did at the time was that it was just a bogus church. Well, not bogus, but the head of the church was not who he was purporting himself to be, and he was a spiritual advisor to Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber looks for spiritual advisors in all the wrong places, so he's a very spiritual person. When I step into Justin Bieber's energy, one of the things I pick up is that he's a light worker. He's like a light worker. He is a star seed. He is a but you get what I mean. He's like an indigo child, like he is of that ilk. So it makes sense whenever he's looking for advice, whenever he's looking for mentors, he always tends to gravitate to spiritual and religious figures, which is very interesting because he is that. That's something that they're just telling me now. They're also saying that I also talked about his journey, like the influence Usher has had on him, the influence that Diddy has had on him. I spoke about that at length. And many times people said I was ridiculous. Like, oh, it's Scooter Braun, you're ridiculous. It says his contracts, it's this, it's that. And I'm saying, yes, I'm sure it's all of that as well. But I'm saying that the root cause of his breakdown is that. It's the Ushers, it's the Diddy, it's him being passed around. And he was being passed around in certain circles. And I talked extensively about, allegedly, and I talked extensively about that in my readings. And many times it's a type of trauma. Sometimes it hits you, sometimes you get triggered and you go into these cycles and spirals. Particularly if you are a star seed, if you're a light worker, and you're an empath, and you're very sensitive to these energies that you're around you, and you just can't. And because he is a star seed and a light worker, that makes his energy even more potent. So remember in the introduction we talked about that energy farming and that energy harvesting, particularly when someone is young. Even though someone may appear to age out of it, they are still going to be harvested by these people because the psychic hooks of the Ushers, of the Diddies, and others are still in there to drain that energy. Remember when there was a video of, I think, Usher patting down Bieber, as big as Bieber is and the legions of fans that he has. He was still humbled like that. Okay, so, yeah, there we go, literally Hangman Emperor. But let's go into what I was told as well, is that a number of Justin Bieber's videos, there's been a conspiracy theory floating around about the video Yummy, and there has been saying that there has been a lot of overlap between the images and the symbology of the Yummy video, with the food imagery and a hidden connection with the Epstein files. But a number of people have come out and said, no, this is not the case. It's coincidental. So let's see. Page of Pentacles. So let's see whether there is any similarities. They're bringing to my attention Billie Eilish. And Billie Eilish also talked at a very young age about her porn addiction. At a very young age, which I think is very interesting as well. Okay, so is there any truth to Justin Bieber's imagery in his videos, particularly Yummy, amongst others? Not even his appearance at the recent Grammy Awards as well. Okay, so they're showing me the world, first of all. And the answer is yes and no. We have the world in the Five of Pentacles. Justin Bieber is in. He's at this point where all I want to do is my art, and I don't want to have anything to do with these people, these Ten of Pentacles people. There is something of, I know what the question is, and I'm not even going to answer the question. They're not giving me the answer to the question. What I'm just feeling in my heart, they're just allowing me to feel this overwhelming sense of not being understood, this overwhelming sense of sadness, this overwhelming sense of not being seen, again, not being understood. Of people, and when I say understood, people looking in thinking that they know, but they really don't know. You could have so many adoring fans. You could get up on stage, sing in your underwear, look completely disheveled. People are standing up and giving you an applause, and you're just like, what? The sense that it's all false, it's meaningless. What does it mean? Like, I would prefer to be out on the streets. And this is the thing about Justin Bieber. Yes, there have been money problems and situations, but it's not about the money. It's about the principle behind it. It's about not knowing who to trust. It's about being taken advantage of. It's about not being seen or being treated with respect. Who do you trust? Everyone's just false. With the Page of Pentacles, he just wants to put his head down and be about his craft. Be about the music. That's all he's ever wanted to do, particularly at a young age. Page of Pentacles is a very slow burn energy. Next to the Chariot, it's just about someone's innocence and vitality and life. Like, if you look at my spirit guides are giving this to me in my mind's eye. If you look at Britney's eyes, and if you look at Justin Bieber's eyes, and I'm going to try and put an image of them side by side right now, like their eyes are just dead. It's like they've been sucked out, they've been drained. Their art and their craft is the source of where they can connect with their God, connect with their divinity, to fill themselves up. But as soon as they do that, their art is corrupted by the falseness that surrounds them, by people getting their hooks in to control, to take it over. In fact, my spirit guides are reminding me of a reading I did with, I think I did a reading on Justin Bieber, Justin, Kanye, Britney, and Wendy Williams, all of them. And I said, what is happening to these celebrities? And they're drawing me back to that reading, because again, we discussed it in that reading. Again, people said I was ridiculous, but fast forward to 2026, this is what we're seeing. There's some message that I'm picking up regarding his wife, Hailey Bieber. Let's just go into interesting High Priestess and Moon. There's something with Hailey Bieber's energy that I've never been able to properly put my finger on. It's like she is able to keep him calm. She is able to keep him in line. People may call her a handler. I've never been too sure about the handler. Phrasing. I've never been too sure, been convinced. It's almost as if she may have started off as a handler, but things may have changed halfway through. It's like something along those lines. They're picking up around the time where, remember there was a point where Selena Gomez, they were together, they split, and then in that period, Hailey Bieber was there, and then they got married, and Selena Gomez was just like, whoa. Yeah. Because I'm picking up, and this has come up in previous readings, there's been this relationship like feels rushed. With the Knight of Swords and the Lovers, something's rushed, rushing into something, being forced into something. A union where the angels have turned their backs on it. But, and that's coming up next to the World. It's like, I'm showing you that I've moved on. There's something of an immaturity there. But I do feel that they have Perhaps grown to love each other, perhaps. Yeah, we have two queens, Queen of Wands, Queen of Pentacles, Queens. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Like, she has really evolved, because I do pick that up a lot in her energy. Either someone wanted her to be a handler or something like that. There is handler talk around her energy, but I don't feel it's handler in the way we're perceiving it. It's like either growing to love him or being the mature one, being the grounded one, absorbing a lot of what's going on with him and understanding where it's all come from. But at the same time, there is a bit of a distance between the both of them. There's a bit of a distance between them nonetheless. And the distance is coming more from, yeah, there we go, that moon. There we go, the world again. Divorce has come up with them so many times. I'm not picking up, and all messages are alleged, about Justin particularly being happy in this union, because I'm just picking up a distance between both of them. And it doesn't mean because there's a distance between them that anyone is at fault per se. It's just this whole industry that they're in, and what he's going through, Justin particularly, is really, really rough. And it takes a toll on who you are in a marriage and in a union. That's where I'm coming at it from. It's not to trash anyone. It's not, because I know a lot of people like to trash Haley, and that's not where I'm coming at it from at all. In fact, I am seeing a very strong, highly emotionally evolved, intelligent, spiritually grounded person in Hailey Bieber, who is very good for him. They're both in this just finding their way. And that's what he's doing here, trying to find his way. He's like lost. Divorce has been spoken between them quite a few times. We may see something coming out about that, actually. We'll see, because that's what I'm picking up on here. Or him going into some health clinic or psychiatric something, you know, somewhere where you could work on you. Either that news gets leaked or there's something around that, but there's something that's going to be revealed about Justin Bieber. There's something that's coming up that's going to be revealed. Oh, you know what? I got so caught up in their energy. What is the Epstein connection? Is there an Epstein connection between Justin? Sorry, I just got so caught up in Justin's energy. Is there an Epstein connection in all of this? Who else do I have? Is there an Epstein connection? Not an immediate connection, but he was there. Like, he has been in the vicinity, he has been around, but I'm picking up here with the two meaning no, but there is a connection with this 10 of Pentacles. We have the 10 of Pentacles here, we have the 10 of Pentacles here. This is talking about people with that control, people with that influence. As I said, Epstein is just one side, he's just one angle, he is just one chess piece, he is the tip of the iceberg. We have a number of these little sort of Epstein-like pockets around. So we know that Diddy was definitely one for sure. In terms of whether there was any cross-pollination between the two, I'm seeing there was some, but not really anything that much to see here. Because the Two of Swords is really picking up like, no, not really. But that doesn't mean, again, that there wasn't anything going on. It's different strokes for different folks. Yes, there was some of that, but it was more in Diddy's side. There was something going on here, but not as such. It was more on Diddy's end. Okay, is there anything else that I need to... These are all the people on my list. Let me just think of if there's anyone else that I need to cover. Anyone else that we haven't covered? I'm not picking up the Kardashians' in this as such. Oh gosh. Is there any link between Epstein and Erika Kirk? I said that I didn't want to go into Erika's energy, so this is not going to be detailed. We're just checking. Because I know Erika Kirk had this orphanage for children in Poland that then closed down, so is there any connection? As I'm shuffling, they're picking me, I'm picking up with Naomi Campbell. I'm picking up Naomi Campbell. Yes, there was. I'm picking up with, so the question is, was there any connection between Erika Kirk and Epstein? We have the Ten of Pentacles. Again, this is that Ten of Pentacles has been featuring in every single name that we've done. And these are the people who have, you know, that 300, all those families that rule the world. That's what the Ten of Pentacles in this reading has been representing. And we have the Two of Pentacles, which is talking about a close connection. So it may not have been with Epstein directly, but very powerful people that Epstein would have been dealing with. So that's a yes. And people knew of her as well. And it was doing work on behalf of with this chariot, with that movement. Okay, I'm going to sneak in this question. When they said Epstein committed suicide, I did a reading on that at the time. And what came through in that reading was that he had not committed suicide. That's what I picked up on. Is Epstein still alive? There are quite a few people who are saying that he is still alive. Oh God. I'm being drawn to the Six of Wands and the Six of Swords. What's this Queen of Wands here? What's this Queen of Wands doing? Ooh. Okay. No. I'm picking up that he's not in the States, is what I'm picking up on. I'm seeing in my mind's eye someone in a country. Well, what I was picking up in my mind's eye when I was shuffling this upper row was that I was seeing someone in a country where there was a lot of sunlight and the air was very hot. Like it's a temperate hot country, sort of close to the equator, if you like, where they may have mild... Sorry, just a moment. Okay, I've had so many distractions in this reading. Where was I? Right, so I was seeing what comes to mind. Okay, so backtrack a bit so that I reconnect with the energies and realign with my guide team. I'm seeing someone who has been transported somewhere. Like they've been almost like under the dead of night, under protection of certain people who know they've been taken out of the country. And I'm seeing like an operation being deemed as a success here. And that there are either a person or there is someone who knows that truth. I'm being seen a woman here who knows the truth. This woman knows a lot of truths, actually. And she knows that truth of the situation of someone being carried away. There was an agreement with this Hierophant energy. But we have the Hierophant energy and they're appearing someone with Ten of Swords, like in their back, and it's to the world. So this is a story of someone passing away, of someone being finaled, is the phrase that they're giving me, in front of the world. But it's interesting that that's come next to the Hierophant, like a decision was made from the higher ups, either for this or for the story to be painted. But what we have, notice the sequence, we having someone being moved to a foreign country or moved away, or at least when I say a foreign country, being moved across water, right? It being deemed a success, then news being put out to the world of someone passing. And under the Hierophant energy, to clarify, we have death. And again, we have the Ten of Pentacles here. Not everyone is going to know this, but again, we have the movement across water. Again, one piece of land to another. And as I was saying before I left, in terms of this piece of land, well, this country, sorry, like I'm getting stuff in my throat, like I could barely say this. But I'm seeing somewhere like with a lot of sun, the atmosphere is dry. This place would have mild seasons. Perhaps they may not have seasons, so it may be somewhere near the equator, or the seasons may be mild. I'm seeing somewhere that's fairly isolated. The air is dry, is another thing that I'm picking up on as well. I'm not saying necessarily that the place is Morocco. I'm not saying that, but it's sort of like what I'm picking up, like with a clear sky, the sky is blue, the sun's shining down, it looks a bit dusty. I'm not saying Morocco is dusty, but you know, like sandy, like the air is arid. Like that's what I'm picking up on. It's somewhere that has heavy security, and it looks fairly isolated. In my mind's eye, I'm not seeing it's someone like him, but I can't definitively say it's him because the features look different. I'm happy to be wrong on that. I'm happy to be wrong. Because we do have a Ten of Swords, which is talking about passing on. We have the World, which is talking about passing on. We have the Death card. So they are very strong energies that, and especially with the swords in the back, let's take suicide or self-aliving off the table because we know that didn't happen, okay? That definitively did not happen. So this could speak to someone purposely unaliving someone here. But I'm seeing it's as if someone was scurried out of somewhere. It could be that someone was taken away from somewhere, taken to that dry, arid place that I was talking about, and then unalived. That is a potential option as well. The reason why I say that is because we're seeing a Five of Swords energy here. We're seeing like an argument or a point of contention underneath all of this. So it could have been this argument or point of contention led to the unaliving. But I say that as a particular option, but I am seeing someone. I'm seeing a side profile of someone. I'm seeing them like with facial hair that's a bit darker, and I'm seeing them like with salt and pepper on the top of their head, and I'm seeing a side profile. So that person looks very much alive. I'm going to leave it there. So I'm not getting, let me see if there's any clarification I can get on that, any further clarification on it. Hermit. Hermit does speak to being on the, it talks about being on the other side. Hermit does talk about isolation as well, which is what I'm saying. I'm seeing someone being isolated. I'm going to leave it there. I'm a bit tired as well because I've been doing this for quite a while. So I'm a bit tired. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think, guys, and I'll see you on future readings. Bye.